Hello, everyone. VIVUM is India's largest student-led charity fest organized by the Grade 12 students of TISP that focuses on creating a positive social impact through exciting and innovative multicultural activities. For those of you who have missed out on the past few days of VIVUM streaming, do watch them on our YouTube channel and make sure to tune in for our dance-off, fashion, and closing ceremony tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Do check out our brilliant merch and buy raffle tickets to win amazing prizes at our website shop.vibram21.com. Also participate in the raffle, help our sponsor Play-Doh to win some great pairs of shoes. All you need to do is like the Play-Doh raffle post on the VIVUM Instagram page, tag 3 friends in the comments, and follow at Vibram21 and at Play-Doh.shoes on Instagram to be eligible as a winner. So without further delay, let's get started with our exclusive interview.
In 1999, in Delhi, he swallowed all 10 wickets in an innings against Pakistan. In the December of 2001, on his home turf in Bangalore, he became India's first spinner to take 300 test wickets. A year later, he did the same thing in the one-day internationals. In January 2008, he broke the 600 wickets barrier in test cricket to stand behind only Shane Warne and Muthaiya Muralitharan, emphasizing his contribution to spin's golden era. I can go on and on, as his list of achievements is never ending. Please welcome Indian spin legend, former Indian cricket team captain and head coach, recipient of the prestigious Arjuna Award and the Padma Shri, Mr. Anil Kumble.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for taking some time out and joining us for this exclusive interview with VIVUM 2021.
Yeah, pleasure, Kshitij, and pleasure, Shreya. It's wonderful to interact with you, and I'm hopeful that VIVUM has gone well so far, and it's really nice to see all your students get together and do it for a wonderful cause. And I know it's quite challenging this year with COVID and protocols, and everything has to be online. But I hope you've received wonderful response from the students. So it's nice to be interacting with all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. That really means a lot. So I think we'll dive straight into the questions that we've got. So, sir, you've had a great sports career, and many aspire to be as successful as you, but only a few achieve it. So do you believe that exemplary talent is something you need to be born with, or that can be cultivated along the way?
I think for me, everyone is talented. Everyone is talented. It's about how you harness the talent, and most importantly, whether you're talented or you don't have that much of talent, hard work needs to be there. I mean, people think that the talented people don't actually put in the hard yards. If you don't put in the hard yards, you can't be consistent. And that's the only way that whatever talent you have, you put in the hard work, then you gain self-belief, because the only way that you will be confident, there will be a lot more failures than success in a long career, especially in sport. You can't win every time. You have to lose, and you have to get up and again go and compete. So for that to happen, you need self-belief. The only way that you will have self-belief right throughout your career is if you put in the hard yards, irrespective of whether you're talented or you're not that talented. So if you're not that talented, it means that you need to work harder. And to me, that is the most important aspect. I mean, everybody knows that Sachin Tendulkar during my time was perhaps the greatest players. Even now, I mean, you look at all time in world cricket, Tendulkar was perhaps the most talented. 15-year-old coming into an international team, but he worked the hardest. He spent a lot of time honing his skills, and he was at the ground day in, day out. If he had just relaxed and said, okay, my talent will take care, it may happen a couple of times, but for you to be consistent, one needs to be really, really working hard. So yeah, I mean, all of us have talent. It's about how you harness that and how hard you work and how you hone your skills and how confident you are about ensuring that that talent comes to good effect in tough situations.
I think that's really good advice. And we've seen time and again in sports as well as other fields, how much hard work has paid off. So moving on to the next question. If I'm not wrong, while you were playing cricket at an international level, you were also pursuing your your engineering degree at during the first few years of international crickets, playing tests and ODIs. So how did you maintain that balance between studies and cricket?
I mean, for me, it studies, probably engineering came first, and then cricket came second. But as I started moving ahead in my cricketing career, from representing the state at the under 15 level, under 17 level, and the under 19 level, then once I played for Karnataka in the Ranji Trophy, that's when I realized that I have the talent. So that's when engineering took a backseat. But even then, it was important for me to balance both. Yeah, I mean, there were you have. I think every era has its own distractions. So how you control that, how you stay away from certain distractions, and then focus all your energies on your passion, and organizing yourself to ensure that you give the committed time that it deserves, whether it is studies, whether it is cricket. For me, it was just those two. So you have to make your sacrifices when you have to excel in any field. So for me, it was about sacrificing going to movies, hanging out with friends, because I didn't have the time. That was the time that I had to sit and study, because otherwise I was mostly at the ground playing matches or practicing. So I had to manage that way, and I think when I look back, it certainly paid off. At that point in time, yes, I didn't hang around much with my friends or went out with them, but those are sacrifices that I think certainly paid off. So, I mean, my advice would be, you need to have that sort of a switch in your mind. When you're focusing on studies, you need to switch off the cricket from your mind. So when you're playing cricket, you need to switch off the study and school and college and all of that. So that, I think that switch is extremely important if you want to focus and stay committed. And like I said, when you put in the hard yards sincerely, eventually things will work out.
Sir, that's very helpful. A lot of us over here listening to this interview, I personally as well, really needed someone like you to talk to about it, because it's very difficult to balance sports and studies together. So thank you so much for that. So just out of curiosity, if you hadn't pursued cricket as a career, what was the other dream profession you had in mind when you were growing up?
No, like I said, plan A was engineering, so I would have perhaps continued my engineering journey. Yeah, I always had this dream of going to MIT, and maybe one day I would go there. I mean, most of my friends went to the US for their postgrad, so maybe I would have followed them if I was not playing for India at that time. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm really happy when I look back that cricket actually went ahead, and I was able to play for India and contribute over the last over those 18 years that I played for India. So yeah, I mean, I was one of those fortunate ones to go all the way, and I was lucky.
I think lucky would not be the right word. I'm sure you've put countless hours of practice.
Yeah, you still need a little bit of luck, because sometimes when you make you get into a squad, you get into a team, you need to play. There's no point in just being in an Indian team when you don't get an opportunity to play. So for me, it was different. So when I got into the team, I got an opportunity to play. So when you get an opportunity to play, it's in your control. So you can then, if you do well, then you get another opportunity. If you don't do well, then you're out again. You have to again fight and come back. So I had to do a lot of that as well. So I think it's all about getting that opportunity, being ready for that opportunity, and when you get that, just go all out and give it your best, and yeah, don't worry about what's going to happen. You just need to go out and give it your best. For me, things worked out.
So, sir, in your amazing 18-year test career, what would you say your favorite moment was? Was it that 10-wicket haul against Pakistan, or the century, being a bowler hitting a century at the Oval?
I think both, but yeah, if I have to choose just one, I think the 10-wicket will always be ahead of anything else, because it doesn't happen that often. It's only happened twice in the history of Test cricket, and I was probably destined to get all 10. You don't go into a cricket match thinking that you're going to pick up all 10 wickets. Of course, you sort of visualize, the previous day to the start of any match, for that matter, of going through the opposition, going through the opposition batsmen, and then bowling at them in your mind. So that's exactly what I did right throughout my career. And even before that particular match, I went through that process in my mind of bowling at all the 11 Pakistan batsmen and then getting each one out in my mind. So sometimes, when I went through that mental process the previous night to any match, sometimes I would get all the 10 wickets in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes in my mind. And sometimes I wouldn't go past 2 batters. Then I would just say, okay, that's enough, I'll sleep. So I think it's just one of those days where whatever I had gone through the previous night of, setting up batsmen and then getting people out, it happened. So I was one of those guys who was probably destined to get all 10. Coming to the century, it was the last test of the series. We were leading 1-0 in that series, and none of our batters had scored a century in that series. So before the start of the final test match, when we sat down for our team meeting, I in fact sort of told our batters, gave them a bit of a challenge, saying, look, it's a bit of a with the kind of quality that we have in this room, none of you have scored a century so far. Little did I realize that I had to show them how to get one, and because I was the only centurion on the tour, so it was great. More than me, I think if you look back at the footage when I scored that 100, my teammates were more happier than me. So you can make out, it took me almost 116 test matches to get my first one, and the only one. So yeah, you keep trying, you keep believing that one day it will happen. It happened.
Yes, sir. That's great. It's very rare, and you've had so many achievements. It's actually very inspiring to have you here right now and talk to us about it. I've also, against West Indies in the match, when you had a fractured bone, you managed to, regardless of being taped up, you managed to get a wicket against Paralara, I believe. And that's quite difficult. So what motivated you to continue playing despite being injured?
Yeah, it's. I think injury is just a sort of a hurdle, and it's an obstacle for you to get over. And for me, the previous time that we toured West Indies, we had come really close to winning the series. We had to score 120 runs to win a test match, but we lost the test match and the series. So here we were on the cusp of creating history, at least the time that I was playing. We were 1-1 in the series, and we had scored 600 runs. And I was the only spinner in the playing 11. And if I knew that I had to come back home for surgery. So, there was no way that I could continue playing that match or playing the series, because I was out after I got hit. So I realized that if I went in and gave it a shot and then perhaps get a couple of wickets, then I'll put my team in a position where we could force a win. And that was the only intent. So I never thought that, the injury will come in the way, because bowling wise, my shoulder was fine. I could go and bowl. It was just the jaw that was injured. So I just, happened to go there, and the doctor told the physiotherapist that he needs to sort of, keep the jaw in place. So that's why they held the jaw by putting a bandage across. Getting Brian Lara out, maybe he got scared looking at my face. I think that's how I got the wicket, because you don't often get Brian Lara out cheaply. So it was one of those things where it happened, but I traveled back for my surgery the next day, and we didn't win that test match. In fact, we lost the series. The next test we lost to West Indies in Jamaica. But yeah, I mean, like I said, pain is just a barrier. So if you think that something's going to get worse, if you play, then yeah, it may happen. But if you think that no, nothing's going to happen, you just go and play. Yeah, maybe things won't happen. So I think that's the mindset. Yeah.
So I think everyone should learn from this determination of yours. So I'm sure you've had many fond memories from the times you spent with your teammates off the field. So could you recount any specific memory, some funny incident, some memorable incident that has stuck with you all these years?
Yeah, I mean, you spend 18 years in a dressing room where you had lots of players come in and some players go out. But there were a few players who sort of I played with for a long time. I mean, especially someone like Sachin Tendulkar. He went on to play even after I retired. He came in before me, and then he continued to play much after I retired from international cricket. And there were a lot of characters in the team. Someone like Yuvraj Singh was someone was a great character. Harbhajan Singh, Vinod Kambli. I don't know whether you remember him. So he was a great character. So you had these funny characters in the team who would always keep the mood in the dressing room really calm and light. They need to you need to do that, because when you're playing a match, especially, see, the only time that you're all sitting and the mind is ticking is when you're sitting down and watching your two batters bat. The rest of us are all sitting and watching the match, and then somebody gets out, the next guy goes in, and then he gets out, and then suddenly the mood in the room suddenly changes. Everyone's tense. So how do you then relax? It's very important to sort of keep the mood and the environment in the changing room as light as possible. So you needed these kind of characters where Harbhajan would crack a joke and he would do some silly things, and it was fun. The one time that we sort of had a team bonding session, when I was captain just before the Australia series in India, we had a sort of a outdoor camp. We just went off-site, and we were in a resort for a couple of days, where we said, okay, we're not going to play cricket, we're not going to play any other game, but sort of come together as a group, get to know each other better. And so we divided ourselves into 4 teams. We were a large group, so it was not just the 15 players, but we were even the support staff and the coaches, and we were a pretty large group. So we divided ourselves into 4 different groups and then had a competition. We had to recreate a movie, a Bollywood movie, and we had to enact it. And one of the guys had to shoot and edit and then showcase the movie, a 5-minute movie of whatever you choose. So we did that. I mean, that was great fun because somebody had to dress like a girl, somebody had to dress as a cop, and so it was quite fun. So that was very good. And then even in 2000, I think 2003, 2004, I don't think some of you would have been born. So I know my son was not born. So 2003, we were in Bangalore, and again, we did some sort of an exercise like this. We were staying at the West End Hotel. So I'm sure all of you know the Taj West End. So we were staying there. And you know how busy the racecourse road is, right? It's extremely busy. So we enacted a group of us, one of the group, we're all dressed like cops. So we just wanted to have some fun. So all these guys dressed as cops went to the middle of the road, racecourse road, and stopped traffic. And everybody thought that it was the real cop who had stopped. And then we said, no, somebody had to cross. So so the entire traffic was stopped on racecourse road for about 2 or 3 minutes with the Indian team, some of the Indian players dressed as cops. So it was quite funny to watch that. And then I don't think anyone realized it. Nobody, I don't think realized that it was actually the players who were doing this. So it was quite fun. And I think within the dressing room there have been a lot of jokes that get cracked. And like I said, you need to keep the changing room, the atmosphere really, really light, especially in a tense situation. And more often than not, when you're sitting and watching, that's when the mind is ticking. So you want the mind to be away from all the tension, and guys like these would always make things really light in the camp.
I mean, that's great. And also, it's probably like the lucky day for the people on the racecourse road that day, even though they didn't realize, but definitely their lucky day. So I was wondering, why did you decide to retire when you did? I mean, most of the people watching believe that you were still at your peak, but do you believe you were still at your peak? What made you think, or what made you realize that this is my time to retire and now I want to go ahead with the next phase of my life?
Yeah, I think there comes a time when that's probably the toughest decision, right? I mean, you're giving up something that you've always loved and you're passionate about. I always believe that when you're chosen to represent your country, it's not who you choose. It's not someone you don't choose yourself. There's a selection committee. There's a group of people who they believe that, okay, this guy is good enough. Let's pick him into the squad. And then, of course, your performance then dictates how you continue to play and how you continue to represent. So when you have done that over 18 years, and I became captain at the last phase of my career, when you leave, it should be your decision. I don't think you should leave the decision for somebody else to say, listen, I think, I was the last person, I don't think I would take it if someone came behind me and tapped on my shoulder and said, you know what, Anil, I think it's time for you to leave. I won't take that. So I would rather go on my terms because you don't get picked. Like I said, somebody else selects you. I think when you leave the game, when you leave the sport, you should go on your terms. And I was really glad that I retired as the captain of India. So it was something that I believed that at that stage. Of course, my body was bruised and battered, and I couldn't carry on. That was one of the reasons. Recovery would take longer. And I got injured in that test match. So that sort of hastened the decision as well, because I knew that I couldn't play the next test because I got injured. So I decided that I'll just leave.
So as your time as a player in the cricket team, the captain of the Indian cricket team, as well as the head coach of the Indian cricket team, how would you say your perspective differed about the game and about everything else?
I think each role has a specific responsibility. As a player, you're there to perform your particular role, whether you're a bowler, whether you're a batsman. So you need to, and if you're a bowler, one thing about bowling is you have to bat. If you're a batsman, you don't need to bother about. If you're just a batsman, you don't need to worry about your role as a bowler. So you just need to make sure that that role is fulfilled. And as a coach, it's very different. You need to sort of step back and then help the players who are with you to maximize their potential, and then fast track them into understanding their own game and understanding their own role in the group, and to ensure that they are prepared to the best of their ability. That's the role of a coach. And of course, you sit down and strategize, and then understand their personal emotions as well. I mean, it's important to know the person, especially when you're a coach, because you need to understand the moods of the players. You need to understand, when they'll perform. If they're not performing, what will actually trigger them to work harder. So you need to sort of keep them on their toes. I mean, that's the role of a coach. You're constantly helping, the player to improve, so that if every player improves by a little margin, the entire team then collectively improves. So that's the role of a coach. And so that's something that you need to understand. And I think being a player and having played for that long, you sort of tend to understand the issues that players go through, and you sort of understand that when you're a coach, and then relate to such happenings on the field. Some may be in real good form, and suddenly they lose form, and then they go down. So you need to sort of be with them during that time, and make sure that they get back their confidence. It's not that the game, that if someone's been scoring runs and then suddenly they drop their form, it's not that they've lost touch. It's just that the mind may be not there. They're not watching the ball closely. So those kind of little things which you notice, and you need to keep the player positive at all times, and that's the role of a coach. So yeah, there are a few things that you need to understand, but at the end of it, I don't think as a person your personality should show as a coach or as a player. So that doesn't change.
And so which role would you say you enjoyed the most?
I enjoyed. I mean, of course, as a player was something that you don't get many opportunities. Very few players. It's been only 300 plus players who played for India at the Test level. So yeah, to be one amongst them is certainly an honor. And you don't get many opportunities to lead the team. Being captain of the team is something that you certainly enjoy, and you're really honored to lead the country. Like I said, 18 years of being a player, and coaching, for the last 10 years now, 11 years, I've been involved in the IPL, then 1 year with the Indian team, and then a couple of years with Punjab. Before that, I was with Mumbai and then RCB. So yeah, I mean, I've played multiple roles. I've also been an administrator. So each role, when I commit to that role, I think you need to enjoy that role and give it your best. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to. That's the way the sport goes, and you just have to not worry too much. But I've always enjoyed every role, every opportunity that I've got in contributing back to the game.
That's great. I mean, considering this next question, so considering that you're a player and a coach, this next question is probably we all know the answer for the next question, but we're just going to ask it anyway for the sake of it. So what do you think about cricket being in the Olympics?
Yeah, I think, we have discussed this. I'm a part of the ICC Cricket Committee. I'm the chairman of the Cricket Committee, and we have sort of discussed this for a long time. And I'm really glad that finally it's receiving a little bit of a push to getting into the Olympics. Cricket is quite a challenge as a sport, because as you know, the Olympic Committee has restrictions on the number of participants in the Olympics. Cricket, you need at least 15 players in the squad, plus you have a support group, so that's a large squad. Imagine 12, 15, 16, 20, 30 countries participating with a squad of 25, 30. That's a large squad. That's number one. But more importantly, the pitch. So I know, we are hoping that in Los Angeles in 2028, cricket will be included. What happens to the facility? So you need to create the pitch. It's a very unique sport where the pitch is the most important. It's not like, yes, we may have to sort of look at how we can play cricket in Los Angeles or in Paris or we don't know. It could be anywhere. It could be Beijing. It could be non-cricketing country. It could be. So how do you then manage the sport? It's quite a challenge, but I'm sure that's something that we can always overcome. But it'll be great to be a part of the Olympic movement, and to be a part of the Olympics is something very special. I was, in fact, the Commonwealth Games in 1998 had cricket as a part of the Commonwealth. And I participated for India, and I was at the Commonwealth Games village in Kuala Lumpur. So it was wonderful. It was a great experience for me to watch the other Indian athletes and to watch their sport. I went and watched a hockey match. I went and watched Gopi Chand play badminton, and it was fun. It was fun to interact with the athletes, other athletes from India, and of course, we were all in the same games village. You would bump into them and have a conversation. So it was wonderful to experience that as a cricketer, because we had never ever experienced a games village before. So it was quite fun. And I'm hopeful that cricket will be a part of the Olympics soon.
So I think so. Now we'll be moving on to the audience questions. There are a lot of it coming in. We'll go ahead with as much time we have. So the first one we have is from Rushil. The question is, when did you first get interested in playing cricket professionally?
Rochelle, I think all of us at least grew up playing on the streets. Now it's a lot different. I think Bangalore is very different. You can't really play on the streets anymore. But we all grew up playing cricket on the streets with a rubber ball, with a tennis ball. That's how I first started playing. And then I joined a club called Young Cricketers with a cricket ball. That's how I started playing cricket. And once I represented Karnataka in the under 15 age group, and then when I played under 17 for Karnataka and was a part of the national camp, there were 30 players who were selected across India, and we had a camp for a month in Srinagar. And that's when I realized that maybe I have a little bit of potential for me to go all the way. So that's when I got serious about playing. And the following year, again, I played for Karnataka, then South Zone, and then was in the national camp again in the under 17. So then the following year, I was a part of the under 19 team, and then I played for Karnataka in the Ranji Trophy. So that's how I sort of went, gradually, but all of that happened pretty quickly for me, from as a 16-year-old, 15-year-old when I started, 13 when I first played with a cricket ball. But then at 15, I was playing under 15. And at 19, I was playing for India. So all of that happened pretty quickly.
I think that's great. That's amazing. So we have a question coming from Tejasvi. So he says, we've heard about your interest in wildlife photography. Can you please tell us some more about that?
Yeah, Tejasvi, it's something that I've always done. I've always carried a camera with me on tours. So even as a cricketer, I would carry a camera around. And for me, photography, wildlife photography especially, is a stress buster. It's wonderful to just have another passion outside of your chosen career to pursue, because I feel that's the best way to sort of de-stress and get away from the from your focus of what you're doing. So it's sometimes you need that break, and that's something that I've always done. And my wife loves wildlife, and then our holidays, our family holidays are all around wildlife parks, and my son loves photography as well. He takes some wonderful pictures. So we go out, and as a family, it's great because you can't go anywhere. All of us are together, and these days, with even with social media and with mobile connectivity, you're constantly on the phone. If you have to have a conversation, it's the best place. Nobody to disturb. You're all as a family, and you can have a conversation around that. And I'm really glad that the family loves wildlife, and we that's something that we connect. And so I continue to do that. I was a part of the State Wildlife Board here in Karnataka. I served on the board for 3 years as a vice chairman. That's something that I felt was really nice. Again, away from cricket, away from sport, to meet new people, get to know the challenges that forest guards face, and the wildlife, the habitat itself is facing. That was something very unique for me, and to serve in a board and contribute was immensely satisfying. So that's something that I've always wanted to do. And the conservation part, with the foundation that I have, we sort of try and contribute back. So it still continues, and the photography, on and off, continues as well. So yeah, it's nice to have a passion. I would encourage all of you to sort of take up another avenue, another hobby that you think you can focus on and be passionate about, because that's something that will certainly help you in your career. Because getting away from your main career sometimes is really good, and that gives you a different perspective as well, especially when things are not going great. It gives you a really good perspective about life, and then you can come back rejuvenated and contribute back, and then come back to performing at your best in your chosen career. So I encourage all you students to pick up another passion, whatever it could be. It could be music, it could be dance, it could be photography, it could be sport, anything. Just make sure that you have another avenue to just chill, because it's important.
So talking about other avenues to chill, which sport do you enjoy playing or watching apart from cricket? This question from Roshni.
Yeah, Roshni, I would watch all the World Cup soccer. Whenever that was possible, we would sit and watch television. Wimbledon was something that we always grew up watching. So yeah, I mean, if you ask me, these were the two events that sort of stood out. And of course, the Asian Games and the Olympics. I think for us, our generation, I think the 1982. I know this is a long time back for all of you, but the Asian Games came to India. That was the first time the Asian Games came to India, and that's when all of us sort of started enjoying athletics, watching sport on television. And that's how every time there's an Olympics or a Commonwealth Games or an Asian Games, we would follow other sports. So I didn't play much, because I didn't have the time to play another sport. I sort of dabbled with a little bit of badminton, a little bit of table tennis whenever we had an opportunity. Football was something that I stayed away from, because I know cricketers usually played a lot of football as warm up, but that is sometimes it can get really competitive, and then you can get injured. I've seen a lot of cricketers injure themselves playing soccer. So I sort of stayed back, because that's something that you don't want. Your main sport is cricket, and you don't want to get injured before a match playing football. So I sort of backed away from that. But otherwise, badminton was something that I played. But I enjoyed watching sport like tennis, then any soccer World Cup, and of course the Olympics, Asian Games, Commonwealth.
I think that's great, sir. We have a question coming in from Anita. She asked, what is the best advice you have received and who gave it?
When I was 15, I attended a camp in Bangalore. I was one of the 30 members of the Karnataka Association chose. And B.S. Chandrasekhar, former Indian leg spinner, he was the coach. And I had only heard stories about Chandra growing up. He was my idol. He was a fantastic bowler. He was a leg spinner, again, very similar to the way I bowled. He was quick, not orthodox leg spinner. So when I met him, he saw me bowl for the first time in the nets. He was standing and then watching me. And then, so I asked him, what is it that one thing that I need to do? He said, you need to lengthen your run-up. So I was a spinner. I don't think any coach will tell a spinner to lengthen his run-up. Generally they sort of say, look, shorten your run-up because you don't need such a long run-up. So he in fact asked me to lengthen my run-up, and I did, and I stuck to that run-up for throughout my career. And every time I sort of had a bit of a tough time in international cricket, I would go back to him and ask him, what do you think? So he would the most difficult part when you're seeking advice is to keep it really simple. And he would keep it really, really simple. All he said was, are you getting bounce? Is the pace of the pitch when you're bowling the same? If I said yes to both, he would say, nothing is wrong, go. Now, otherwise, generally, when you think, if something's going wrong and you seek advice, they come up with saying, no, your action is gone, your angle is wrong, you do this, you do that, and then they confuse everything. And then you're sort of muddled in your mind and then don't know what to do. So, but here he would just give two advices. Two things to ask. He asked only two questions. One, is the bounce good? Yes. Is the pace of the pitch good? Yes. Then you're fine. Don't worry. It'll come. So I think that's great advice. Sometimes, not saying anything is great advice.
So our next question is from Arun. The question is, what is your biggest source of motivation?
Well, I think when I look around, there are a lot of talented players, a lot of talented people, and to get an opportunity to be one amongst a billion people is itself a great motivation. To represent the country when you have had an opportunity to do so, and the adulation and the responsibility that you have as a cricketer, as a sportsman who's recognized, is immense. So I think it's important to just understand that, and once you sort of get that, that itself is serious motivation. You don't need anything else. For you, if someone told you that, look, you're going to play for India, you don't need any motivation to get up and go and do it. So that itself is serious motivation.
Sir, so we have a question. Why were you called Jumbo? Or why are you called Jumbo?
Yeah, this was one of the matches that I played. It was a Unai Trophy game. We were playing rest of India versus Delhi at Firozshah Kotla in Delhi. And I was bowling. And Navjot Singh Sidhu was standing next to me in mid-on. And I was bowling, and a couple of balls when I bowled, it kicked off the surface, and then I got a couple of batsmen out fending. So he straight away screamed at me and said, Jumbo Jet. So somehow the jet got dropped off and the Jumbo stayed. So it actually was Navjot Sidhu who coined that name for me.
So with the prevailing situation, every tournament is preceded by quarantines and isolations. What impact do you think this has had on sports persons, and how would you, the cricketers, cope with this? These questions from Arav.
Yeah, Arav, it's extremely difficult. All of us are coping with it. It's not easy. Some of the players, especially the players, it's never easy. They're jumping in from one bubble to the other. You don't get to see any other person other than whoever is in the bubble. You only can interact with the people who are in the bubble. You only have access to areas that are in the bubble. and then from there you go to the ground and then come back, and that's it, nothing else. So you can't go out, you can't meet anyone. You're in a new city, but yet you can't go out. So it's quite a challenge. The biggest challenge is 7 days of quarantine before the start of the bubble, entering into the bubble. So you're asked to sit in a hotel room, and you can't step out of the room for those 7 days. So it's quite tough, and these guys have done that. I don't know how many times in the last 1.5 years. So it's quite a challenge. So you need to, again, that's why I said, you need to have another passion. So for me, when I sit in this 7-day quarantine, I pull out all my old photographs, and then I sit down and then go through them and start editing them and processing those photographs. That takes a couple of hours. So your mind is engaged, other than, of course, your social media, or watching television, or watching a movie on Netflix or whatever. I mean, how many movies can you watch? You can't keep doing that. So you need a bit of a diversion, and you try and use whatever is there to keep your physical exercises going as well, and try and create that, because especially for the players, it's not easy when you're switched off and gone into a room for 7 days, and then you don't have any physical activity. You need to and then that's the reason we generally go early, so that even when they come out of the bubble, come into the bubble, you need to take some time for their bodies to get used to training, and then you take it slowly and build the momentum closer to the tournament. So yeah, it's quite challenging. But one positive thing is, then you interact with your players. You don't have an option. You don't have an option but to sort of sit around the same players, and then so you'll get to know them better. That's the best part about this bubble, and families are around, so it's nice to have all of them, and then interact. So yeah, it's quite challenging, but at the same time, if you're focused, and you don't really worry too much, then it's a lot easier to manage.
Yes, sir. So the next question we have is, we've heard you have 2 startups, and so could you tell us a little more about them?
Yeah, I started Tenwick, which is a grassroots development of sports. Now, this was 12 years ago. So it's been 12 years that we've had this as a company. And my partner is a former table tennis champion, Vasant Bharadwaj. So he and we started this 12 years ago. And it's about, we believe that you need to increase the base of players who play the sport. I think we only talk about medals once in 4 years. This time we probably had the best Olympics ever by getting 7 medals. But I think India as a population, as a talent, we can certainly get more. The only way that we can do that, the focus generally, I know there are multiple agencies, the government, all of them supporting the elite athletes. But we believe that if you bring in a structure at the grassroots level and increase the base, increase the number of people who play the sport, then automatically that brings in a better competition, then a better sports people coming out from there, and it'll increase the chances of us getting better results. So that is our intention. So we've been in about 125 schools across India, and we are running about 9 academies in a few states, and a couple of center of excellence in athletics and in weightlifting in Orissa. So it's there's not much cricket, because I think cricket, there are a lot more people managing it. The only reason that the cricket is really good, or it's really competing, I know only few teams play at the international level competitively, but even then, the reason is because there's a lot of players playing cricket, whereas you can't say the same thing about athletics or or even badminton for that matter. I know badminton has received a fillip because of Gopi Chand and Saina and Sindhu. But again, the more number of people play, the better quality of players come through. So that's what we believe. The other startup is a couple of years old, which is called Spectacon. It's a sensor-based tech. So we developed a sticker, which is the size of slightly bigger than a credit card, around the same size. And it goes and sticks on the back of the bat, and you get real-time data on bat speed, swing, the power, the timing, a whole lot of parameters, which before this it was not available. So we believe that will bring in fans closer to the game. There'll be a lot more interaction, and it'll also mean a better. It's more a coaching tool. You can assess your game better, and it's also a talent scout tool as well. So we believe that this certainly will change the way the game is going to be played from here.
So I think both startups are great and a great advancement for sports. So do you have any final thoughts, any parting advice for all our viewers?
No, I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have a student's body conducting an inter-school event, especially for a really good cause, a charitable cause. You're raising money and contributing, which is fantastic. During my time in school and college, there were some events that would happen, but I was hardly available to attend those events. So I was generally, out playing some matches. So I barely, attended any of those events. So it's wonderful to see this platform. I know it's grown in TISB over a number of years. I know this year it's been a challenge because of the circumstances, but despite that, I think over the last few days, all of you have put together a wonderful show, and congratulations to all of you. I know, Mayas has taken a lot of time in managing, this one as well. So I know how much time and effort has gone into creating this VIVUM. So well done to all of you. And from here on, I know some of you are in the 11th grade, some of you are in the 12th grade, and then you sort of move out of school into your own careers. So just have fun. Don't forget to have fun, because it's important to, I know all of you will remain focused in whatever career that you choose. But at the same time, please remember that it's nice to have another passion, which you can, sort of get out of your main focus and then come back, because that will certainly rejuvenate. So follow your heart. At the same time, just dream big and make sure that you give it your 100%. Things will happen. For some people, it will happen immediately. For some people, it may happen slightly later. But have the patience, keep at it, and eventually it will happen. So all the best to all of you. It was wonderful to interact with you all, and I wish VIVUM and all of you the very best, and enjoy the next couple of days of VIVUM, and hopefully things will be back to normal very soon. So stay safe and all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being at VIVUM and having this interview with us. It was very informative. We got to know a lot about you and learned a lot from this. For our viewers, ensure to tune in tomorrow to watch the dance-off, fashion, and the closing ceremony at 4:30 p.m. Also, go check out our merch, buy our merch and the raffle tickets to win some amazing prizes. And also sign up and engage in the Play-Doh raffle as well. Love to see you tomorrow. See you then. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Kumble. And thank you so much to our sports HODs, Shreya and Kshitij, for being a part of this and helping us get such great questions.
And thank you so much to the audience who was so interactive throughout the session as well. The questions were really, truly inspiring.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.